Hey guys, Wade Willis here for Wade's Weeb Reviews, coming here to talk to you guys today about the second arc of the OG Higurashi series, and this arc is titled Cotton Drifting, and it's episodes 5 through 8 in the first season. There are two gothic ideas that are really rampant throughout this arc in particular, and I mean like from gothic literature, not gothic like I'm wearing black. They are the use of like twins and doppelgangers and the use of an unreliable narrator. And obviously in this arc we realize that there um, are twins, and this arc in particular there is a real emphasis on the unreliable narrator. I see this arc as the twins, jealousy, and zombies arc, and I will get into all of those in a little bit. Now, this arc starts off with we see Mion cackling, like laughing. It's extremely creepy watching Rika stab herself in the head. And this was very strange to me watching Rika do this, and then we get to the death later on. But just the way that it was happening, I could tell that there's going to be a deeper meaning for this that we will probably get to later on in the story in a different arc. And before I go any further, guys, if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please do. I'm going to be doing videos about this show and a bunch of other seasonal anime shows the whole season. So, and if you like the video, please leave a like. Episode 5 is titled Jealousy. And we see jealousy in multiple instances in this arc. The episode starts off after the whole Rika slamming her head into a knife against the wall thing, which was, again, extremely traumatizing because I do like Rika a lot, and I did like Mion a lot, and seeing her creepy 2 arcs in a row, I was like, when this is starting off, I'm like, oh man, like she seems kind of cool. I wasn't pumped to see her looking possessed 2 arcs in a row. Now the club is playing this game. I believe it's called Karaka, and it's like a card game. They're playing this card game at a game shop in Okonomaya, and Keiichi is really getting worked in this game, and the girls are kind of like upset he hasn't also like tried to cheat. That's kind of the vibe I get. And then he goes ham. It's super funny. He gets like these two like boys, and he's like basically saying like, oh, like you can go for the girls if you help me win type of thing. It was kind of like strange, and he ends up it's tied at the end with him and Mion, and then she claims that she needs to go. She has something to do, so they're gonna have to finish the game later on. Keiichi ends up getting this like I thought it was a very creepy looking doll from the shop owner, and he decides to give this doll to Reina. And he mentions that like Reina's into like super like cute things, which okay, I understand that. But then he says to Mion that oh, like this doesn't really suit you well, you're not really like into girly things. And yeah, like Mion is like kind of a tomboy and stuff, but you see that like she kind of agrees with it, but I don't know. I just it's like a dick thing to say for sure. And I don't know, like I was kind of like thrown off that he actually said that, but again, he's like a boy, I believe in middle school or high school. So like the amount of dumb things I've said, I still say dumb things that hurt girls' feelings. So I guess I can't get on him too much. Then Keiichi's like at this restaurant. No one can eat with him and his crew. He's at the restaurant, and we see this. We assume it's Mion at this point, and she's in this like sexy outfit, and Keiichi's being a real creeper to her. The girl introduces herself as Shion, and immediately I thought like, okay, it's Mion, but she's embarrassed about her outfit because, and that's kind of what Keiichi's like saying as well. And I'm like, she couldn't have come up with a name that didn't rhyme with her name. That was immediately my thought, because I'm like, okay, if it would have been something less close to her actual name, I would have maybe believed it, but for some reason, just with it rhyming, I was like, no, definitely not her. Maybe like a day later or so, Keiichi like knocks over these bikes of these like ruffians. They're ready to beat him up. Shion or Mion, whoever, we find out later that it is Shion, goes and like is yelling at him, and then all these town people show up, and Shion tells him like an enemy of one of us is an enemy of everyone. He's appreciative of her, and it. This I thought was going to be incredibly important too, because you saw how quick the town was to support people from in the town. It's very close knit, and they see that, you mean, these turd burglars are really picking on someone in their town, and they're like, no, like we don't play that we don't play that game over here. Shion is like holding onto his arm, and again, Keiichi still believes at this point that it is Mion pretending that she's someone else, and she like holds onto his arm. We see Mion come out of this store. She's visibly like kind of upset, and this is where Keiichi like realizes like, shoot, there are two of you. I thought I thought you were joking when you said that, and you were just like embarrassed about your costume that you were wearing for work. Throughout the episode, we see that like Mion is starting to get like, we see kind of a cute side of her that we didn't see in the previous arc really at all, because we just saw her as someone like very strong, the leader, all of that, and now we are seeing her like kind of cute. It seems like she kind of has a crush on Keiichi a little bit. We know that the whole like the doll thing with Reina, probably some jealousy there. Obviously, some jealousy seeing Shion, her identical twin, who is a lot girlier than her, holding on to Keiichi's arm as well. Now, episode 6, titled Takano. This episode starts with Keiichi is hanging out with Shion again outside the shrine. It's cotton drifting time, and Mion sees Keiichi with Shion. She got Keiichi like some tea or something like that, and Mion's like, why are you with Keiichi again, to Shion? And then you see that Mion has 2 cups of tea, and Shion just straight calls her out on this. And this is why I love Shion in this arc. One, I do like that she like appears to be like into Keiichi, and she's just going for it. And if you guys have seen any of my other videos on other anime, like a girl that goes for it and someone that she's into automatically gets a lot of bonus points for me. And she's just going for it with him, and she calls out Mion, and she's like, oh, is that, basically implying like, oh, is this for Keiichi too? Like, and then Mion has too much pride and is embarrassed because he already got something from Shion, and then she just downs like both of them, and it's really funny, and you do kind of feel for Mion in this situation because, again, it's her twin. Shion is a lot girlier than Mion, and she has a crush on someone who she thinks sees her in more of a like tomboy way. And it's really interesting to see Mion, who she's used to being like in control and like the leader. We're seeing like a very like kind of embarrassed. She is getting shy at points, very unsure of herself. Um, just interesting to see that. And I have friends that are like super strong-willed, powerful people who are good leaders, but once they like fall in love with someone, they are just as like weak as all of us. And guy and girl, I've seen it in both instances, and it's very interesting to see. And I think it's like pretty evident that this is probably the first time Mion has liked someone just by the way she's acting. And Shion is kind of talking to Tomatake and Takano, and they're talking about the Cotton Drifting Festival curse. And Mion tries to take Keiichi away from them, almost like trying to protect him from it. And Shion has the opposite belief. She thinks that it's his like right to learn about this. Like he should learn about it. He lives in the town. Eventually, Shion takes Keiichi away from the festival, and they run into Toмотake and Takano, breaking into the part of the shrine. And Takano, Keiichi, and Shion, they all go into the shrine. Not gonna lie, this is why this show's so good. Like, even though we're reliving um, like the same time period, just it's so different. And seeing how creepy it is in this shrine with like the dissection tools um, and Takano teaches Keiichi what cotton drifting actually is. And I believe she says that like cotton and bowels are actually similar phonetically, and that's where the festival kind of went, and they dissect people and like open up their bowels and stuff, and that's so one just gross and disturbing. Again, we're just peeling like more layers back of this town. The underbelly, pun intended, of uh, this town is just, it gets creepier and creepier, and like these torture devices and dissection tools were, oh, it gave me the creeps. Super excited to see how they do show some of this in the new version, because again, animation not the best in this version. Story great, but animation not the best. I'm sure they will be able to like make some of this stuff look even more disturbing. And I was extremely creeped out seeing all of these torture devices and dissection tools, learning that they used to open up people's bowels, or maybe they're still doing it. Mad creepy. We also learned that Mion is the one inheriting the whole Sonosaki family name. She's going to be the head of the family, which is interesting because even though Shion is like technically the younger twin, it seems like she has no leadership role in this. Which like when I was watching the show at this point, I'm like, you admire Shion more because a lot of people would have like kind of a chip on their shoulder from not just their twin sister, like who technically all she was done was born, came out of the womb quicker than you, is given all these things and in the family to run, and because you were the other twin, you get nothing. Which I'm sure they're like supporting her financially and everything, but again, she gets like kind of the raw end of the deal in this situation. And we find out that two people are dead after breaking into the shrine. Takano and Toмотake are both dead. And we know from like the last arc, and it's even mentioned in this arc, like, okay, if two people die, then two people are going to be spirited away by the demon. Like, we're thinking, okay, it's looking like probably Keiichi and Shion are about to go missing, like, pretty soon. I thought the way they worked this first half of the arc was amazing. Like, again, it starts off, like, fun with, like, the games and stuff, and then I thought it got even darker in this one, and I thought it got dark pretty quick in the last arc, but this, with the torture devices and the learning what the cotton drifting like actually is supposed to mean, mad creepy for sure. Episode 7 is titled Lies, and right off the bat we learn that the village village head is gone missing. Rika knows about Keiichi going into the shrine. This part with Rika, we all thought she was cute initially, but just the way she's like explaining the situation, she's like talking in metaphors about like a cat being mad, which is supposed to be Mion, or is Mion the dog, something like that. But she's using these metaphors and saying basically, I know like these cats or some type of animal went into somewhere they weren't supposed to be, and like Mion is like kind of mad at you, so I suggest you like kind of staying away from them. And Keiichi kind of confirms all of this stuff, and Rika just handles it really well, and I like how she kind of like warns Keiichi. Like in the beginning of this arc, we see her slamming her head into like the knife or whatever, but um, again, we haven't seen her go like possessed yet, which is, I don't know, I think significant. Maybe we will see some with her. I mean, being possessed by or spirited away or being possessed in some way. I don't know, but interesting that we haven't seen. We see her kind of kill herself, but we don't see her. We haven't seen her act out violently against someone else. Shion tells Keiichi that she told the village head everything, and she thinks that's why he has died. So Keiichi gets immediately is worried and goes off to try to find Rika. Mion like shows up there out of nowhere. It was really kind of random, and like helps Keiichi. Like Keiichi climbs up a ladder and is like looking inside the house to see if like Rika's there. Rika and Satoko are both missing. As Keiichi's on the ladder, we see Mion like it looks like she's like possessed again, and she's just shaking the shit out of this ladder. And I'm like, oh my god, like what the heck? And she's like ranting about Satoko, and I'm like, what the fuck does that have to do with anything? Like it seemed really random to me. And I'm sure probably gonna get to another arc and find out why she did that, but very strange because it seemed kind of out of nowhere. And then she kind of like flips back, and I'm like, okay, homegirl needs a Snickers bar or something because she is on edge. And then Keiichi like starts having issues finding out the timeline. And this is like part of like the unreliable narrator thing that I was talking about, because we're kind of confused of like the timeline doesn't make sense, and then we get to the whole people being dead and being around when they're supposed to be dead thing. So we're unsure of like the information that we're getting like is because we're seeing things through Keiichi's eyes and something's wrong with him. Something's up though, and Keiichi kind of realizes timeline doesn't mix up with the village head and when Shion could have told him that info. Then we find out that Shion is actually missing. So we're like, okay, that's fishy. But then Shion like calls Keiichi, um, and Keiichi eventually realizes like this isn't her. Like this, none of this matches up. I'm super confused. And then we hear like this cackling, and it's Mion going full cray cray. Some of the stuff with Reina was creepy in the last arc, but the stuff with Mion in this is like to another level. And I, at this point, had become like super attached to Shion. Like something about her, she's just really cute, and her being like the twin that's not getting like is kind of like cast aside by the family is a bit endearing to me too. So like I'm pretty much team Shion already, and then just seeing Mion take it to a level that is surpassing how creepy we saw Reina, and Reina's was walking around last episode with a freaking cleaver, and somehow Mion has been creepier. Episode 8 is titled Wish, and boy do they end this with a bang, because this was to me the best episode of the arc, but I was extremely confused by the end of this, and I'm like, are there like I'm like, there has to be other entities other than like the demon possessing people. I was extremely confused by the end. And in this, like, Keiichi and Reina and Oishi, they all kind of realize Mion is like pulling the strings, which to me at this point made sense because she's kind of like the Godfather. Like I see her, she's like head of like kind of mafia type thing. Keiichi and Reina go to meet Mion at her compound, and she admits to being like involved in every single one of the Oyashiro like deaths and disappearances, either directly or indirectly. And she tells them that she has demon blood in her and has like, I think she says something about the mark of a demon, and she's like gonna take off her clothes, and then they say like, we believe you don't need to take off your clothes. And then she has like, after saying she's like been killing or involved in these killings, she like tells Keiichi she wants to take him, wants to go on a walk with him and show him some stuff. And it's like kind of cute. She's holding onto his arm, and kind of like how Shion was holding onto his arm in the like first episode of the arc, and I think she does it like in another episode too. But she's like holding onto his arm, and then tells him like, I want you to see, like, I want to show you all my crimes. All right, weird flex, Mion, but whatever. She takes him to another torture chamber. So I guess the shrine has one. The Sonozakis, they got their own torture chamber. Interesting town. And the thing that's will bother me more about this torture chamber is that there was like a seating, like viewing area, which means there are people just like chilling watching this. And that really bugged me because like, okay, it's one thing you got some crazed person or you're like punishing, like it's obviously wrong. But then the fact that there's these other creepers who are just like watching you torture people made it exponentially worse for me. I don't know about you guys. I'd love to know what you guys thought when you saw that there was the viewing area in that. And let me know in the comments, because that to me bugged me probably more than almost anything up to this point in the show. And then we see that there's like a prison thing too, because of course, why would they not have a creepy prison? And we see that Shion's there, and I'm like, well, at least she's not dead. You know what I mean? Because I like Shion, and it's just, oh, Mion's so creepy in this whole exchange. She freaking hits Keiichi in the back of the head, which this is the second arc in a row. Keiichi's got hit with a giant boulder in the back of the head. Tough look for my guy. And he's like tied up on like this crucifix thing. And we see Mion like pull out these this like nail and hand. She's gonna like start driving nails into Keiichi's fingers. And this is so cringeworthy for me, because I'm like, how much are they going to show in this? But people are kind of storming the place, and she kind of Keiichi gets like knocked out again, and Mion disappears. Oh, and one important part, as Mion is like about to like jam a nail into his fingers, she says, and I guess it's like the demon possessing her like is talking, and she's like, if you would have given the doll to Mion, she wouldn't have cried and I wouldn't have had to wake up. So again, that doll became pretty important, it seems like, up to this point. So Keiichi is saved, meets up with Mion, and then gets shanked in the stomach. Bro, what are you doing, man? And he doesn't die there, but he truly deserved to die. I would be worried, like, she's going in disguise of Shion, or like she's gonna come, like, you seen these people she's killed, she already imprisoned her sister. At least be like looking for a weapon. I don't know. Is that too much to ask? I felt like Keiichi probably deserved to be killed in that point. He gets stabbed, and he wakes up in the hospital, and then we find out that like Shion was found like dead outside of her apartment. It looks like she was pushed out of her window by Mion. But then it's like weird because they say that Mion was found because they say Oishi tells him that Mion was actually found at the bottom of the well like the day before. So how was she doing this? And then Takano was actually, I believe he says in this too, that she was dead at the time, like she was already dead, but then they saw her walking around. So at this point, like up to episode 8, I'm like, okay. And even Oishi says, like, yeah, maybe there's zombies. And I'm like, is there a zombie thing going on here too? Like, you get people possessed by a demon. Now we're possibly going to have zombies. Like, can the demon possess dead bodies and move them around? A lot of unanswered questions here. In my heart, like up to this point, I feel like probably aren't zombies, but there's going to be a way to explain this. Maybe it's ghosts of the people. I don't know. But I'm excited to see what the future of this has. And I thought the first arc was fantastic. This to me was even better because I'm introduced to Shion, who is now my favorite character in the show. Yeah, what did you guys think when you watched this arc? I will have the arc 3 hopefully done this week as well. I'm going to be doing these for every arc, season 1 and season 2. Season 2, I may have to split it up a bit differently because the arcs are a lot longer. I know that. So I don't know. We'll see. I'll try it out. But yeah, guys, I'd love to know what you guys think. And thanks for supporting all of my Higurashi videos. It's been really fun so far doing these. And I'm excited to continue the journey with you guys.